Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is Vicki Walker, 40-year mortgage professional, and today's topic is going to be the National Association of Realtors settlement. A lot of stuff in the press about this. You have to excuse the glare on my glasses. I cannot see, so if I don't have them on, I can't read what I've written. Um, so I want to talk about this, how it affects lenders, keeping in mind that we're not getting a whole lot of information about this right now. It is a fluid situation, but the great thing about the market is it always corrects itself. It always does. So whatever's going on right now, we'll figure it out. Okay, so we'll be okay. But here's what I know for sure right now. We do have to include the buyer's agent commission if it is paid by the buyer in our disclosures and in the money that we verify for closing. If the buyer is paying for your commission, we will have to ask for it. We will have to get a copy of your agreement with the buyer, and we will have to include it eventually on our disclosures. Now, while that doesn't sound problematic on the surface of it, it sounds like a no-brainer, and I kind of knew that they were going to have to address this at some point in time because of other overarching regulatory stuff about source of funds and stuff like that and disclosure of closing cost. Here's where it can get problematic. So the sooner your lender knows, the better off you're going to be in your transaction. So let's just say the customer's normal down payment, closing cost, and prepaids are 20 grand, right? And they're going to pay you a commission that totals $33,000, okay? And I don't find out about it until after I've issued the pre-approval letter, the disclosures have already gone out, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I may have to bump that closing cost estimate up by 3 grand. And then, of course, look for an opportunity at some point to either one, maybe charge a little bit more for interest rate and be able to give a lender credit to offset some of that. And again, if the customers don't have the money to pay that additional $3,000, or if the appraisal comes in and we get a good bounce on the appraised value, then we could potentially go back in and ask the listing agent to renegotiate the sales contract to bump up the sales price so that there will be money that the seller can credit back to the buyer to offset that commission. Those are all legal things to do. I do realize that with each of these things, there are other considerations and other problems that may pop up. In other words, the seller may not want to do that. The listing agent may not want to draw up another contract. There could be a lot of things that goes on that where those are not viable options, but they are legal. We can do them. They are options. It's just a matter of, do we have people involved in the transaction that will agree to do that. So keep that in mind. That does mean that in my best practices, what I am changing to try to help support my realtors in this so that they're not caught unawares or that we have some issues with the loan later on, is that I will be asking at the time of application, who's paying the buyer's commission? Do you have an agreement in place? Are you paying for it out of pocket? Is it something the seller has agreed to pay? I'm going to try to be getting a good feel for what that is. Has the agent quoted you a fee for how much they're going to charge you so that I can start including that in your closing cost estimates, things like that. So I will try the best I can to get out in front of it with applications that I'm taking now. So that covers one of the big questions I had all along about how are we going to deal with this from a closing cost standpoint, and we now have an answer. And by the way, it is not a surprising answer, and here's why. As I alluded to before, there is an overarching regulatory, statutory, which is different than a guideline. A statutory requirement is a law where it concerns anti-money laundering and anti-terrorism funding, where we are subject to some of the same standards as banks are in how we have to source and verify funds. So this is no different. It's just another cost that the buyer is paying, and it rolls up into that same thing that we've been dealing with for decades. So this is not a new thing. It's just another cost that we have to be aware of that we add in. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question, because that's been I've been asked that a lot. Number two, and this we've known almost from the very beginning, and VA has come out and issued a temporary um, guideline change to um, including if the buyer is paying for the buyer's agent commission, does that amount of money have to be included in the seller concessions limit or interested party contribution limits? No, it does not. What that means is your seller, if they wanted to, could pay the buyer's agent commission, which of course has always been the standard, at least in my market in the past. They also would still have their full seller concession limits for each loan product available to contribute additionally to the buyer if that's something they needed to do to make a transaction work. Okay. Number three, and this is great news, none of this for the buyer's agent commission would require is TRID related. What that means is it would not trigger a official change of circumstance on the loan. This is a big deal because if it had triggered that, that would be something where a lender would have to stop. They could not even issue a pre-approval until we knew who, but that's not the case, okay? That's not the case. So I don't want to say something's going to get everybody panicked. That is not the case. That is not a change of circumstance. And what that means is if it comes in later where you change it, let's say the seller was going to pay for it, now the buyer is going to pay for it, it's not going to be something that the lender has to eat and potentially, that would be a problem if it was TRID related. It is not TRID related. That is great, great news. So that's kind of the latest and greatest on how the NAR settlement affects lenders and what you could probably expect across the board. These are agency issued bulletins, so they're across the board for all lenders in the United States, not just me. If you are getting different information from other lenders, boy, I sure wish you'd let me know and call me. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation, if there's something you don't understand and you want to make sure that you know how it's going to affect your buyer's ability to get financing, boy, please get me on the phone. Talk to me. I'll be more than happy to guide you through it. And it's just one more change we have to do in the marketplace. Do we like it? No. Is it a pain? Yes. But it's not the end of the world. We'll all survive and we will get through it. But I am here to help you any way that I can. And I am sensitive to the fact that this has been a big change for my agents, and it is very concerning for all of us. But guys, I just have faith in us. I know we can do it and we'll be fine. We'll be okay. It's just one more change. It's a matter of informing our buyers up front, being very transparent, having the discussion, setting the expectation, and then looking around for people like me who can support you in your efforts to do that, which I'm always available to do that. I really hope you have a great, great weekend. I do. I hope you find some happiness, some fun, some relaxation, and above all, I hope somewhere in the middle of this weekend, you just feel like you're loved, And if there's nobody around you that can make you feel that way, then know this: God loves you, man. He loves everyone. So take it easy this weekend. Have fun. If you're in Florida, don't get too much sun, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.